Hello everybody, welcome back to Culture Garage. Okay, so in this video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting a wee bit of a cleanup and a partial restoration on Subaru Impreza WRX STI. Okay, so I'm just going to show you about now and show you where we're starting at and what the plans are. Okay, so this is my Subaru Impreza WRX STI. It's 2002 with the bug eyes. Okay, so engine, that will be coming later on in the channel. There is a boost leak at the minute coming from the intercooler, so hopefully going to do a wee video shortly of a smoke test to see exactly where that's coming from, and hopefully get that sealed up, and then checking if there's any other leaks anywhere. Okay, so in this video what we're going to be doing is starting at the front wheels. So if I take you over to this driver's side here, so I have the wheel off. Okay, wheel is off, and you can see she's in a wee bit of a sorry state. Okay, so the plans are, I think I'm going to replace the strut and springs for new. So the idea is I'm going to strip the arch here. So at the minute I'm going to try and take out this there's like a U frame underneath here. Okay. That runs along the front there, and it runs down along each side right there. So what I've done in preparation for that is give all the bolts that I can get to the threads on a good soaking and penetrating oil, and it's been sitting for a good half an hour or so soaking in. So we're just starting to take the bolts out of it and see if we can get that removed and give it a good clean up, see if we can get rid of a lot of the rust and give it a good coat of that. Okay, so sorry the camera cut off there just whenever I was underneath the car talking about the U-frame. I was just saying there, never get it off. I'd give it a good clean and see how it comes up. Hopefully be able to salvage it, clean it up, remove as much rust as possible, and maybe give it a good spray with protective paint. Okay, so I've went ahead there and removed that frame, so I'll just show you it now. Okay, so there it is there now. Okay, so you can see there, there's a fair bit of rust on it. Okay, so it needs cleaned up. So I'm just going to take you underneath the car here to show you what it looks like now with that off. Okay, so you can see that just above where the U-frame was bolted on at the front there is in pretty bad state. It's pretty rotten in places. Okay, so I've been researching there and looking on, and I think the best thing is there's a panel that comes, I think, and goes to about there each side. I think you must just weld it on or whatever. Okay, so we're left here then. Take you back out. Okay, so the wheel off the other side here, passenger side. So I'm going to go ahead here and try and strip as much of the suspension and the components as I can. So get the strut out, disconnect the ABS sensor, take off the tie rod, inner tie rod, the anti-roll bar and the bushings, the lower control arm down there, and drop links, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start and take some of that stuff off and be back with you shortly. Okay, so far then I've just got the bracket off here for the ABS, so it's away from the strut. I've got the tie rod end off. Okay, so to get it off, remove the nut, and then you want to be, let's see, where are we at? Yes, here, where it goes through, that's where you give it a good hit with the hammer. So it took a good few blows with the hammer, and then the shock of going through that then drops it out. If you're replacing the tie rod end, you could just put the nut onto the tie rod end and just hit the nut if you're not reusing it. But if you are changing the tie rod end and if you're taking the tie rod end off and you want to reuse it, then just hit through here, so you're not going to damage any of the threads or the nut. Okay, so what else is off? There's off here as well. Yeah, simple enough, 12 mils. The other side then we have the brake hose disconnected here, another 12, handy enough. Okay, and at the bottom, don't know if you see it there, I have the nut off for the ball joint. So and then also the bolt that holds the ball joint in has been removed as well. Okay, so I've just taken the drop links off here at the minute, and I just thought I would show you a wee trick. Now, these here are parrot nose pliers, and they are an absolute godsend when it comes to taking drop links off. Okay, get this out of the road. Okay, so what you do is these grip the inside of, okay, and it stops it spinning. And then when you get the ratchet on, it's hard to do with one hand. Okay, so that should come off then. Let's just see, it's nearly away. Getting tough here at the end. And I say these drop links have been on for a fair while. I think same as everything else in this car, it's been on for a brave while, the looks of it. Fun road ahead, changing all these parts. Getting nice and loose now, it must be nearly it. That's you. So just a wee trick there, if you're taking drop links off, is the parrot nose pliers. You can use vice grips as well, at more likelihood of damaging the boot. So again, if you were changing the drop link, a lot of people just cut them off with a grinder. They were going to replace them anyway. So just cut through somewhere here, or cut the bolt off, whatever needs to be. Probably through here would be okay. So you slacken it a wee bit and you get the cutting blade through there with the grinder. But if you were taking these drop links off to do something else and you wanted to salvage them and reuse them, then the parrot nose pliers is definitely the way to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead then and take off a few bits and pieces. Take off the anti-roll bar and the lower control arm. Okay, I'll be back shortly. Okay, so the anti-roll bar is off. I'll just show you here where we're at. Okay, so Anti-roll bar is off. Bushing the clamp. Now, I was saying there I was going to take off the lower control arm, but if we go in here, this bolt here, this one here is solid, so what I'm going to do is strip a wee bit more stuff out of the arch first, just to give me more room, because I'm going to have to get a blowtorch on to heat it up and to get it out. So I'll take you back here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to start disassembling the brakes. So caliper, I have the hose detached here. I'm going to, let's see, get a bit of light over here. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect this brake line here. I think it's a 10mm. You're going to use one of the wee claw spanners. I'm going to put a tray underneath for all the brake fluid. Once I have that off, then I will be able to go ahead and get the, see if I can get in here, see? Okay, 2 big caliper bolts. One at the top and one at the bottom. And once I have the caliper off, then I'll be able to get the disc off. Okay, I'll be back with you shortly once I get that done. Okay, so to get this line off here, I just clamped the top here with a set of grips just to stop it spinning. Right, I broke this brake line already. Right, just going to go ahead and loosen her up. Right, by hand now. Nice bit of brake fluid. There we go. That's her released. Okay, so that's the hose released from the brake line. Okay, so what I was using is one of these, if you can see it. It's a claw spanner. These are really good for taking off the brake lines, because a lot of the time where they're well corroded and hard to get off, so these here give you a fighting chance of getting them off. Okay, so I'll go ahead then and get the caliper off with the 2 bolts I showed you earlier on. I'll be back with you then. Okay, just taking this caliper off here. 19mm 1/2 inch socket and a good big ratchet for the bottom one. There's more room down there. I have to go with a long 19mm spanner for the top one, because there just isn't room to get it on. Handy enough. Okay, they were tough enough now to get going, but once I broke them, they're going free enough. This bottom one's nearly off. One out. Top one. go, both sides. And the halter off. Okay, luckily enough now this has come off on its own, but a lot of the time these weld themselves on. So if that happens to you, there's two holes here. Okay, get two screws that fit and screw in. I might try that with my right hand. Okay, so put your two screws in here, and then the idea then, if you tighten these bit by bit, it pushes the disc out. Okay. Thankfully we didn't have to do that for this, it just came off for us. Win-win. Okay, so here we are now then with the brakes off. Next is getting this really bad brake dust cover off. There's 3 bolts, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so gonna have to hammer on a socket and gonna use the wee impact gun, and that should hopefully come off. I would say I'll probably replace those for new ones if I can get them. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to take this first one off on camera. Okay, 12mm socket. Hammer on nice and solid. Small impact gun. Good lot of pressure and okay, doesn't always work, so next thing to do is to go down a size, down to 11mm. See if it will go on for me. Hammer time again. Okay, let's give it another go with the 11mm. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take the other 2 off. I'll be back with you. Okay, dust shield is removed. Next thing is axle nut and let's see, our castle nut for our ball joint. Okay, so I'm going to get those 2 off. I'll be able to push the drive shaft out of the hub, free the lower control arm away from the hub as well, and then after that then it will be a case of the two lower strut nuts and bolts. So I'm going to clean these up a wee bit, okay, with the wire wheel, just to clean the threads up a wee bit. Okay, so I'll set up and get that done now. Okay, so axle nut first. 32mm impact socket on the gun. Give it a rattle. Okay, that's her off. And then we'll go to the lower ball joint. Already got this started off camera, just to make it a bit faster. Okay, let's see if I can free up the okay, so I'm going to try and do the same as the track rods and give this a good hammer. There we go. Sweet. Put it down. That's it out. Just going to tighten this up, see if I can free up the Okay, so finally got the drive shaft moving. Right, it took that long, and I just got into the way of doing it in the zone. So what I ended up doing was this here, nice pointy punch, and there's a hole in the centre, and just a big ignorant 4-point mallet. Between that, I was heating up in here with a blowtorch, heating up around it with a blowtorch. I was in the back of it with the pry bar, just trying to get it moving. It was starting to move a wee bit, and then once I got the big hammer onto it, then it went the rest of the way and broke free. Okay, so there are tools you can get for it. There's tools that clamp on here to the wheel studs, and then there's a centre bit, and that actually pushes the drive shaft out through the hub. But I didn't have that to hand, so I just thought I would try this here first, and it worked in the end up. So moving on from there, I'm going to get these 2 nuts off the strut here and the 2 bolts out of the hub. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up the threads here, wire wheel. Alright, we've got a spray, top bottom, 19mm socket for this top one first. Right, make sure it's well on. I'll give it a rattle with the gun here. Okay, so it's away. Okay, one out. That's been in there that long. Usually they would spin it the other side there. I was getting ready to hold that with a spanner if need be, but a bit more corrosion on this bottom one. Give it another go with the gun here. See how we go. Okay, a bit harder. Right, I'm going to turn it up to the top setting, see whether it makes any difference. Okay, plan B. Ratchet. Let's get it extended out here. Let's see. She's well and truly on there. Get a good heat on this now. Just heating the nut to, the heat should help to expand the nut, break any rust inside the bolt, to make it a bit easier then to come off. Heat can be your friend for these kind of jobs. You heat without the glue port. Okay, let's give that another rattle. There we are. Not off. So it should just be a matter of taking hold of this hub. Okay, so these bolts might be welded onto the other side as well. So you can see they've been on there for a while. Let's see if I can get those turning with a gun as well. This bottom one's in bad nick. Okay, broke the rust loose. Yep. Might come out for me this time. Don't want to be too ignorant with the bolt ends. Just a nice light tap just to see if I can wipe the rest of it. There we go. You see how well that hub was stuck in there. Okay, hub off. Okay, going to take the top 3 nuts off for the strut. Okay, so I'm taking this last one off. I reach underneath and grab hold of the strut. Okay, and that's her right from the top. Okay, so I'm onto the lower control arm and the inside of the front there. Okay, so just off camera there, I had the blowtorch on heating up the nut, as I was saying earlier in the video. It was just a bit fidgety, so I tried it with the camera set up. Didn't work too well, so just done it off camera there, and I've hammered on a 17mm socket, 1/2 inch. So let's see if we can get her going now. Let's see, go from the top. Right, she's away now. So I have a ratchet here on the other side. It's wedged up against the roll bar there to stop the boat spinning. This one was pretty stubborn now. It took a brake bit to get it going. On here to the other side, easier. Yeah, just move the camera here to see what we're doing over here. Okay, that's the nut off. And the bolt out. All that remains now is there's two bolts underneath here. You can just see one on here, and there's one at the other side holding the rear bushing on. Okay, so we'll get those off. Okay, arms out. Okay, so that'll do it for part one. Thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, comment below. Please feel welcome to subscribe, and I'll be back shortly with part two. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.